Do you ever wonder if, at times, the nature has a way unique to get his revenge on those who try to cross the line? As it is, imagine the scene. A thief to those that think that life is an opportunity for an easy, goes into a house thinking that it's going to take some money fast and go off in the morning. It seems the script for the movie it's a comedy, but it was the truth, in the city of Birmingham, Alabama, USA. The most unbelievable is that, instead of finding a victim to the unsuspecting, or a door unlocked, he took the face of a true force of nature, with one mission, to protect his home. And, hey, this story will make you laugh, to shock and, who knows, we may think twice before breaking into a place. You've already been through this feeling that everything that goes wrong in your time more important? That moment when, no matter how hard you try, everything seems to be conspiring against you? As for the thief, of Birmingham, found on the skin, or better yet, the skin of his hands and his head, in a way that he never could have imagined. And what makes it even more surreal is that the reaction has come from an enemy. He didn't even know there was a swarm of wasps, which, contrary to what many people think, there is nothing silly or a liability. They have a keen sense of justice that makes any justice in Hollywood to shame. And what happened next is something that you are going to want to listen to the end, because I swear it's hard to believe that the story could happen in real life. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out right now might surprise you in a way that is not in the best screenplay for the thrill it can get. It's one of those stories that seem, to me, that is so true. And, you know, believe it or not, the moral of the story is so much more than just a lesson of what nature has her own plans. She has an innate sense of justice, which, very often, it is as invisible as it is a trap, or well-armed. So, get ready, because the next part of the story, it will show you a list engineered it can turn into a real war in the air, with the stinging, acrobatics, and a lesson in humility that he will never forget. And, believe me, you'll never look at a swarm of wasps in the same way again after listening to this story. And it is at this point that everything changes, and suddenly, almost as if the universe had decided to put it to the test of our patience and our fortitude. The sound intensified, with a mix of buzz and whispers that seemed to echo in your head, demanding attention. That sudden movement on the horizon, it reveals that the invasion was not only an accident, or a mistake in a calculation, but is it something you planned? It is a real battle, silent, which is transformed into a war in the air, worthy of a movie. All the time, all the details seem to be stepping up. The wings cut through the air with the precision of the movements, which seem to be choreographed to the strategy, which reveals an intelligence that was not expected. It's as if we are watching a dramatic play, where each and every character plays their role with an intensity that reaches the move. In this scenario, the stress, you can't stop thinking about how sometimes a simple action, however small they may seem to you, it can set off a chain reaction that will change everything. And there, in the midst of the controlled chaos, there is a lesson that is going to be lifelong in the memory, the importance of understanding the power of humility and respect to the natural one, and that we do not control them. It's a reminder that, despite what we think to be at the helm, there are invisible forces that challenge us to be more aware and more alert. If all of this has made any sense to you, leave it here in the comments that you have touched, or that is in this story stirred up inside of you. Your participation is what keeps our live chat, because when you share your feelings, what you feel, it helps the other person to be able to connect to the same purpose, that of self-reflection. And if you want to continue to explore these experiences with me, then enjoy and subscribe to the channel. This narrative is a little deeper in your journey to learn and connect. Right now, for us to continue to deepen this topic, there's something even more important what you need to understand. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the truth of it, is that, too often, when we are so immersed in the routine, expectations and external pressures that we forget to look within, to question what is really on the move, the things that make our hearts throb of authenticity. And it is this disconnect that away from us, it's like a fog that will be piling up, covering what is more real, more vital. It is as if, for a long time, confundicimos the sounds of the world with our own unique voice, and it's only when we stop to listen, without judgment, and without any rush, and we were able to understand how far we are away from who we really are. This is the quest for self-knowledge, and this truth is hidden within each and every one. It is not an easy task, because it is about having the courage to face our own shadows, our doubts, our fears, the more profound. And a lot of times, it is this courage, it seems to be hidden under a layer of resistance to the fear of getting lost from time to time with what they find. But, in fact, just the opposite is true. This is a journey of confrontation that they have found who you truly are, beyond the mask, beyond the opinions of others, in addition to the expectations that have been imposed from time to time. When we started to dig into this heart, You notice every single detail, every feeling well. We saw what appeared to be a true outside, an achievement, a success, an approval. In fact, it's just a layer on the surface of something much deeper, that it beats quiet there, in the center of our being. It's as if a door is invisible to you if you open it slowly, revealing a world of possibilities he had never considered it, because we are so bound to the restraints of what we used to think that we were supposed to be, that we forget what true freedom is born, in connection with our essence is pure. And, in the process, all of the things that seem to be the one limitation that becomes an invitation to explore, to discover new ways of looking at the world, and to understand our own limits as a starting point, not an end. Because, in essence, learning is the way that we approach our challenges, if we were able to see them as stepping stones, as well as opportunities for growth. If we allow ourselves to be dominated by a fear of failure, of making mistakes, we lose. This transformation is not something that happens from one hour to the other, but rather a construction site daily, made up of small decisions in the moments of quiet that we can hear our own voice. And, in doing so, we notice that it really frees is not the conquest of the outer, but a built of who we are and what our choices have a direct relationship with the truth, even if it is different from the one the world is waiting. This authenticity, and the courage to be who you are, in fact, that is what gives us the strength to move forward, even in the face of adversity, because it connects us with a never-ending source of energy and hope. And it is precisely when we are in a state of deep connection that we understand the impact that our actions have not only on ourselves, but also for those around us, those who, in some way, they are also looking for the same light within you. All of this brings us to consider essential if we want to truly transform our lives, and we need to accept that which we are, with our faults, our own doubts, our own vulnerability. Because it is only when we allow ourselves to be truly vulnerable in the opening at the risk of being judged or misunderstood, is that we were able to experience a true freedom. This is the freedom that comes from within and is not dependent on external circumstances, but that is a big achievement and a daily decision to stay connected with our lives even when the world tries to pull us out of ourselves. And, in it, we learn to trust our intuition, our own voice inside you, and you understand that the answers we seek are right there, inside of us. We are always available, just waiting to be discovered. It is as if, in the course of our journey, every step is taken with the sincerity. It was an invitation to dive in a little deeper into our own souls, and have found that, in the end, all of the things that we look for these is on the inside, just waiting for the moment to be revealed. And it is in this search, we found the real meaning of life is not in the perfection, or the approval of others, but in the authenticity and being who you really are, courage, and lightweight. Because, at the end of the day, this is the greatest revolution that we can do on our own. A silent revolution, which takes place in the depths of our hearts. It becomes our beliefs, our attitudes, and, as a result, the world is all around us. And when you realize all of this, we are able to see beyond the surface, to understand that our choices, no matter how simple they may seem, have a huge impact on our history, our evolution, and our freedom. And in that moment of understanding, all of which seem to be confusing or difficult, it becomes for a chance to rewrite our narrative, to create a new life that reflects who we truly are from the inside to the outside. Because, deep down, this is one of the greatest lessons that we can learn from it. That's true, the change starts within, and that every decision that we connect with our essence, it is a big step in the direction of a fuller life, a more conscious, the more it is true. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. Because, deep down, this is one of the greatest lessons that we can learn from it. That's true, the change starts within, and that every decision that we connect with our essence, it is a big step in the direction of a fuller life, a more conscious, the more it is true. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because this is a journey of self-discovery is like a ladder that you don't have to end, and as more and more people goes up, the more you realize how much there is to explore, understand, and change. And it is precisely this continual search for that, we found out that a lot of our own limitations, our aches and pains, and even our own deep-rooted, the result of the narrative, we learn, often without even realizing it since we were kids. A story that tells us that we are small, we are not able to, and that our emotions are dangerous, or that the truth is something far away and out of reach. In this narrative, when it's not contested, it becomes a prison. The invisible is a kind of a barrier which prevents us from moving forward and living with authenticity. And what's even more amazing is that, too often, we carry this to the wall without even realizing it, believing that it is the truth, when in fact it is just a distorted version of what we have been taught to believe. But that's what happens when you start to question all of this. When you decide to look into it, with courage, and confront the stories that limit us, it's as if the light began to turn it slowly, revealing the possibilities of that before would have seemed impossible. And these opportunities come in the form of small, daily choices. Attitudes towards it seem to be easy, but, in fact, have the power giant. How to decide if you allow yourself to feel, even if that feeling is uncomfortable. How to choose to believe that you are worthy of love, of success, of peace, even in the years we have understood it otherwise. It's a matter of reprogramming your mind to rewrite the script, which was a tax, creating a new chapter in its history, more in tune with who we really are and who we can become. And it is this reprogramming is not something that happens all of a sudden, even with a single decision-making. This is a building on the daily, made up of small deeds, with moments of reflection, and the courage to look at himself in the mirror and accept what you see. This is the journey of 1,000 autocompasio, mercy, and patience. Because, too often, we carry the wounds that seem to be huge, and that's only if you make it smaller when you begin to understand them with love and understanding. When we understand that the wound, in fact, is a sign that we are living in something important, something that needs to be embraced, not avoided. And the inclusion of such pain, to understand that they are a part of our journey, we opened up the space for true healing that comes from within and is not dependent on external factors, but it is born in our heart. It is in the wake-up procedure that we find true freedom, one that is not taken by wealth or status, but in the peace of knowing who you are and align with our deepest truth. And the truth is often revealed in the moments of quiet, when we stop to listen to what it's really vibrant in all of us. Because, in the silence, and we find the answers to the noise of the world, will never let us hear it. And this answer, they are like the seed that, when planted with care, grow and bloom, thus transforming each and every aspect of our lives. So, the big question is, how do you cultivate that connection with our lives on a regular basis? As a fan that flame which pushes us to evolve, even in the face of difficulties, and doubts, and fears? The answer lies in the persistence on the course to engage in such self-knowledge and the commitment to allow yourself to be vulnerable, to make mistakes, to learn from. Because you are, in essence, we are in a state of constant transformation, and that transformation is an act of self-love and respect for who we are and who we can become. And the more we allow ourselves to it, the more we realize that everything around us becomes, because it is our energy, our thoughts, and our emotions have a direct impact on the reality that you created. And then, in the cycle of cause and effect, we see that true freedom is right here, the ability to choose each day who you want to be and how we want to live in. This is a decision that is only up to us, that no one else can do it for us, and it is this decision that defines our journey. A day that you don't have a final destination, but what it's made of steps in, the small victories every day that build up to form a road of self-discovery, courage, and love. And when you realize this, we realize that we are not alone in this journey. There are those in our own hands, to shape our own way, and this rap is the ultimate expression of our freedom and our lives more fully. I now want to go more in depth on this issue, because this is the quest to understand who we really are is, in fact, it's an adventure that defies all that you have taught us to believe in limits on the possibilities, and what is of the essence. It's as if, when you get down to the very roots of one's being, discover an infinite universe, full of potential, light, and from the truths that are hidden from that are waiting just for our up to be. And in this journey, every decision, every reflection, and, for each connection, this is our essence. It is a key that will unlock new doors and new opportunities for growth, understanding, and love. Because, deep down, what we are looking for is in this connection is true, then what does it make us feel alive and full, and able to weather any storm with the heart of a quiet, because we know that we are in line with the cleanest in the us. And when you realize it, your life will have a different flavor. With a depth of it before, you may be invisible, but it has now revealed the beauty in every moment, in the simplicity of each breath, to the stillness of each moment's silence. And so, our story becomes a tale of courage, discovery, and transformation, where each chapter takes us closer to the essence of who to never let be in there, just waiting for the right moment to bloom. And, in the process, we have learned that the real power is not in the strength of the difficulties, but in the ability to respond to them, learn from them, to turn the pain into wisdom. This is the essence of development, realizing that we are made up of light and shadow, and to embrace them is the path to true freedom and liberty. Because, at the end of the day, this day is a dance between what we are and what we can get, a piece that is about having the courage, the faith, and, above all, to love ourselves. And when we allow ourselves to that dance, we've found that life with all its ups and downs, this is an opportunity to be more authentic, more whole, more connected to the truth that beats within you, be silent, yet powerful. And so, we go forward, knowing that every step taken in the direction of from the inside, it is like a seed planted in the fertile soil of our soul. It will shine at just the right time, by bringing in the fruits of peace, joy, and authenticity. And that's the beauty of it all. You realize that when you jump in the deep end, we find the core of it, and that it is, in fact, an invitation to the eternal, to be who we really are, without fear, without masks, and living in the fullness of who you were born to be. And, when you think about all of this, we see a lot of times, we are so conditioned to seek the answers out of the chase of the projects that we forget what true wisdom is in all of us. It is as if we have an inner compass that points you to the things that really matter, but for some reason, it has been forgotten or ignored from time to time. We have become masters of distraction, in the opinion of others, and in the routines that we deviate from our own center. And it is that time of the wake-up call that we can begin to understand that there is nothing more powerful than a genuine connection with the truth, what we feel, and that is, very often, we would prefer silence or deny it. Because, deep down, we know that, in this connection, it is our greatest gift, is a never-failing source of strength, clarity, and authenticity. A journey of self-discovery, it is, in fact, a trip to the silent, made up of little things, the moments of deep listening, the courage to face your own shadows. And what's even more amazing is that the more we allow ourselves to this dive, the more we realize that everything around you starts to change. Because of the change on the inside, and the outside world reflects this, as it is a mirror that shows what is most real to us. And, in the process, we learn how to distinguish what is really important from what is merely an illusion, that is more than skin deep. We have found that the core of it is like a light that was always on, even when everything seemed to be dark or confusing. Just waiting for us is the first step into the light again. And this is the light that rises from the inside. It has the power to illuminate the ways that before would have seemed impossible, to open the doors that have been shut out of fear or doubt. It is as if, by reconnecting with the truth, had come to an unseen force, a heart silent, that pushes us forward even in the face of the storms, more frequent and more intense. Because you are, in fact, we are a lot more powerful than we can imagine, and with that strength comes from recognizing who we really are, and of the love that we have cultivated over time, and even though sometimes we have to deal with the silence, the solitude, or the difficulty in finding it. And when we do this, we realize that the world around you starts to change, because your vibration is changing, and this change to the echo at all, and in you all. The beauty of it all is that when you immerse yourself in the process, we discover that the journey is not linear, it is not a ladder, with steps fixed it, but with a dance-off between the moments of doubt and in order to clarify the silence, and the expression of fear and courage. And, in it, we learn to trust our intuition, to hear that little voice inside you that has always known what is best, even when your mind tries to convince us of the contrary. This leads us to a deeper understanding of what real freedom is about: being true to ourselves, to embrace all of our nuances and our weaknesses and our lights on. Because, in the end, we are complex beings, and in a constant state of evolution, and that evolution is the greatest gift we can give to ourselves. And while all of this happens, there is a sense that we are only just beginning to understand the enormity of what we really are. It is this discovery that reconnects. It is a journey without an end, an invitation to the eternal, to explore every layer of our soul, to discover new truths, and, above all, to learn how to love every part of us, with its flaws and its beauty, hidden from view. And, in doing so, we find that the higher the secret lies in the simplicity of accepting who we are and allow ourselves to feel, to set us free from all the shackles that keep us from flying. Because, at bottom, all that we seek has always been within us, just waiting for the right moment to bloom, like a flower, who, after a long time, hidden in the seed, and finally, I have loved you, with all of its heart, as it vibrates in tune with your life. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. It's as if, when we reflect on this journey, we realize that the real transformation is the change of the outside, but on the change in its internal structure, in the way that we connect with who we are of the truth. And this understanding leads to a new vision, a vision for a more compassionate, more loving, and of who we are and who we can become. Because, to be free of outside expectations, we reach out to an authenticity that is unique, and you don't need to mask a validation, but just exists, pulsing, strong in our chest. And then, in the press, we have found a freedom that none of the conquest of the material can provide, a feeling of fullness that comes from a deep understanding of who we are whole, just the way we are, in our essence, the most pure. And when you recognize this, you begin to see the world in a different way, a more humane. The more you take, the more connected to our deeper truth. It's like, to wake up to this reality, and of our whole life will begin to gain a new meaning, a new color, a new tune that plays softly in our hearts, reminding us of who we are. Above all, the people in a constant state of evolution are called to discover, to experiment, and, above all, to love who you really are. Says right there, I came to realize the truth. And, as long as this understanding, it begins to seep into our lives, we feel that it is the life that once seemed so predictable, it turns out, is a mosaic of possibilities is endless. Every decision, every thought, and goes on to reflect a new sense of awareness that we are not here by accident, that's all part of a grand orchestra, which we are, we can learn to listen with attention. It's like, to wake up to this truth, it's a layer of fog, if you were to say goodbye, revealing a state of mind clearer, and more vibrant place where your emotions will no longer be a mere reflection of the external environment, and become instruments of self-discovery and personal empowerment. And in that moment, we realize that our journey is not a straight line, but it's a dance of the ups and the downs, the lessons learned, which are woven together to form a tapestry of unique and unrepeatable. At each step, a new piece fits together, bringing a quiet strength that has always been there inside of us, waiting for the right moment to bloom. This is the reunion with the potential of what we found to be the real power comes from within, out of a deep connection with who we are in addition to the masks that we wear on a daily basis. And the recognition of the essence, a peace, a subtle start to settle in like a fresh breeze that calms the heart, reminding us that change is not something that is external, but it's a transformation that takes place in our own souls. This often is not an option, because it challenges everything you thought to be. It forces us to question our certainties, and to make room for the new one. Even though this is new, it is just our own vulnerability. Yet, it is precisely therein lies the beauty of the day, the courage to allow yourself to feel it, to allow it to grow, allowing him to surprise you with its lessons, the more profound. And the more we give ourselves to this process, the more we realize that the universe conspires in favor of people who connect with her truth, and that every challenge is an opportunity in disguise, to learn, and that, in essence, we are all co-creators of our own destiny, fashioning it with some of our choices, our thoughts, and our emotions. This realization frees us from the bondage of the fear of judgment, and of a doubt, that she is inviting us to trust in the wisdom that lies within each and every one of us. We believe that we are able to transform into a reality. Because, in the end, it all comes down to a question of alignment. Align your heart and mind to the will of the intuition and the desire to share. Then, life becomes a series of obstacles, and it happens to be on a journey of discovery, a chance to explore the depths of our being, and to reconnect with what really matters to you. And, in doing so, we notice that you're closer to a more authentic, the more you take, the more truly ourselves. A version that does not require approval of the foreign, that is not a concern for the opinions of others, but simply to shine in his own soul, exuding the beauty of who we really are. This is a journey of self-discovery, therefore, is a journey without an end, because in each of the discovery of new horizons and open to new layers of light appears, and what seems to be a limit turns out to be a gateway to something even bigger. It's a cycle and the eternal, of the evolution of wake up to what's really important, our truth, our love, and our connection to all living things. And, in it, we learn that the greatest power we have is the one that comes from within, that nothing or no one can steal it or take it, because it is our very essence, is pure and everlasting. Thus, we have become the protagonists of our own history, the authors of the narrative, which we can write on, with courage, love and, above all, with the trust that we are exactly where we are supposed to be. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. And in the meantime, it is my sincere hope that those words can touch the heart, to awaken a spark of hope, of courage, of willingness to move forward. Because, deep down, each and every one of us carries within itself a universe that is whole to the possibilities, just waiting for the right moment to bloom. So, leave us a comment. I came to realize the truth. And that's exactly where it is revealed that the stillness that precedes a major change, when we realize that our journey is not just a sequence of external events, but rather a profound inner transformation. Every decision, every choice, every moment of doubt, and surely, you are like the seed that is planted in the fertile soil of our soul, and beginning to cultivate quietly. And a lot of times, it is just in those moments of vulnerability, when we allow ourselves to feel the weight of our own history, with no escape or to hide who we really are. It is in this area, the authenticity of which there is the opportunity for us to reconnect with what is most true within ourselves, whether that truth is still hidden beneath layers of fear, insecurity, or expectations of others. After all, how often do we allow ourselves to be carried away by a narrative that is not our belief that we need to please, to fit in, to be in a certain way to be accepted? And then, in the process of adaptation, we end up getting away from what really matters in our own being, the one who beats you with wishes, dreams, and with a quiet strength that she insists on telling you that there is more than what we can see. It turns out that this force is often subtle. It does not hurt, does not require immediate attention, but it's there, waiting for the moment to be realized. And when it's finally revealed, it's like a wake-up gentle cool breeze that runs through our daily tasks, heavy, and gives a sense of lightness, of hope renewed. It is then that we realize that all the effort, all of us in our search for answers, and I was actually in the lead up to that point of clarity, even with this understanding that we are more than our limitations, it's more than our doubts and fears. We are, in essence, that manifests itself in the infinite possibilities, and the freedom of it is just to acknowledge it, to assume that each and every one of us has the power to rewrite your history, to turn his emotions into fuel for growth, a decision, each day, those who really want to be. And this decision, this choice consciously, it's the one that gives meaning to our journey. It is not a matter of perfection, and not to avoid mistakes, but to learn how to walk with courage, even when the way seems dark, or in the air. Because, deep down, that the light that we seek has always been within us, hidden under the layers of ignorance, doubts, opinions, and external, that made us doubt our own power. When you begin to look at the inside, with honesty and compassion, we realize that the answers aren't out there, but in the silence of the heart, and the connection is genuine, what you feel, for real. And, in doing so, we open a door to self-transformation, so the release of all of the shackles that keep us from being who we really are. It is a process of letting go, of leaving behind what no longer serves you, to be free from the expectations that have been imposed upon, and, finally, to embrace our authenticity, courage, and love. This is an invitation for having the courage to look at what is hidden in our shadow, because he too is a precious part of who we are. And, when you accept it, to welcome it, with empathy, we can begin to understand that true strength comes from within, and in alignment with our essence of a deep connection with the truth. And, in this connection, it is the one that gives us the clarity to make choices that are more conscious, so to follow our own dreams, with more determination, even in the face of adversity. Because, deep down, it all comes down to a matter of courage, the courage to meet, and the courage to accept, courage to change them. And, in doing so, we realize that we are not alone in this journey, that we all carry a light that, for a time, turns from time to time, lighting up the path for a life that is more full, more real, more of us. I now want to go more in depth on this subject. And while this discussion is going to change your mind, I want you to feel the weight of all that has been said above, but also on the level of that this is possible. What a transformation! It is not something far away or out of reach, but the reality is that it starts with a simple act of courage, a look inside, no fear, hope, and love. Because, at the end of the day, the journey is a continuous discovery, a search for the thing that has always been there, inside of you, just waiting to be discovered. And when it happens, it changes everything. Those questions turn on the lessons learned, the obstacles to become the red carpet, and life takes on a new meaning, a new color. It's like, all of a sudden, Enzagassimos of the world with different eyes, more aware, more compassionate, more closely aligned with our essence is pure. And when you understand it, you realize, too, that the real trend is the recognition that we are in a state of constant transformation, and that each day we have a new opportunity to rewrite our story, choose your love, your courage, and authenticity as our main guide. Because of this, our journey never ends. It reinvents itself at every step, with every breath, with every deep understanding of who you really are. And then, in a continuous movement, you will find the beauty of life and the magic of being alive, of being right here, right now, at this very moment, with all the vulnerability and strength. Because, at the end of the day, all of the things that we are looking out for us, it is already there, inside, just waiting for us to decide to open our eyes to the truth. And when you do that, you start to realize that it's the greatest secret of our existence. It is the courage to be who you truly are, without masks, without the fear of being imperfect, because it is in our weakness that resides in the greatest perfection. And in it, the latter is the one that brings us into a state of true freedom, one that is not dependent on external circumstances, but that it was born from the depths of one's being, from an alignment procedure that causes us to vibrate in sync with the core of the most pure and true. Says right there, I came to realize the truth. And in that moment, when we begin to understand that true freedom is not something that we've achieved out there, but something that lives inside of us, everything seems to be getting a new color, a new texture. It is as if a curtain was slowly lifted off, and behind it, revelasemos an infinite space, where our external limitations to lose the weight, and that our souls will find rest, which I never knew existed. The discovery, understanding this, it is that connects us with the inner strength they seem to be asleep, but that, once awakened, it passes to press on with renewed intensity. It is a call to authenticity. It's a call for us to look in the mirror, without a mask, without the mask, without the mask, and you finally realize that you're full, just the way you are, without the need for external validation. This freedom comes from the recognition of our emotions, our thoughts, our decisions, are a part of a story that you can rewrite it from the moment that we are in control of our internal narrative. It's like, to be free from the bondage of fear, doubt, and the need for approval. We start the walk on a road with a lighter, more true, in which each step is an expression of who you really are. And to this day, for as quiet as it may seem, it has a profound impact on the way we see the world, and, most importantly, how can we see the inside of it? Every decision we make, every thought that we have cultivated, goes on to reflect this new awareness. The connection to our essence is genuine. And so, the things that once appeared to be in a constant struggle against their own limits, it becomes a dance of self-discovery, in which we learn to embrace our imperfections as a part of our growth. It is a transformation of a silent, almost invisible, but the echo in the deepest part of our being, by changing the way we think about our trials, our sorrows, and our joys. Because, at the end of the day, to the truly free is to go on a journey of discovery, with a continued expansion of who we are beyond the surface, beyond what we've been taught or imposed on it. It's a reconnect ion with that internal space of the house that was always there, just waiting for us to have the courage to look inward and acknowledge that it is the source of our peace, our strength, and our authenticity. It is exactly what we are, in our essence, the purest. Most often it is hidden in between the layers of conditioning and expectations. And then, when you realize all of this, we can begin to understand that the greatest power we have is not the external circumstances, but on our ability to turn our vision is to change the focus, to realize that we are the creators of our own world inside. And when we do that, everything around us becomes one to reflect this change, bringing in a new light, more fully, more in tune with who you really are. It's the feeling of freedom that you don't need the validation, approval, achievement, external. It is based on a deep understanding of it. We have to accept it fully. We are releasing everything that limits us, lock us down, or stop us from being who we really are. This is the essence of the transformation, is profound in that it happens quietly, but that the changes to our way of life, to love and to understand the reality. And, in the process, we have learned that the greatest power lies in our vulnerability and our courage to expose yourself, to admit our weakness, because it is precisely here that we find the true power of the us to reinvent ourselves each and every day. This is the liberty. Therefore, it is a choice, a decision of whether or not you connect with what is most real in us, trust in the potential, which is often hidden under layers of fear and insecurity. And, if you make this choice, we have discovered that we are stronger than we imagined, and that life is not a struggle against the world, but it is a call for us to align with our inner selves, to live with integrity and commitment. And when you realize it, your life will have a new tone, one that arises from the inside to the outside, of a peace that is not dependent on external circumstances, but that it spills over from the depths of our being. This is the only true freedom, is the one who accompanies us at all times, which sustains us in the face of adversity, and that which impels us to go forth with courage, hope, and self-esteem. And then, when you realize all of this, it is clear that the path to freedom is not a quest for perfection, but to the acceptance of ongoing and learn to love each other even in your imperfections is to recognize that each and every step for the more timid, or unsure of yourself, it is an expression of our originality. And, therefore, we are always looking for more of a connection with who we really are, and knowing that it is the greatest gift that you can win. Be free, truly free, from the inside to the outside. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. Because, at bottom, the search for freedom is not just a battle against the outside world, contrary to the opinions, expectations, or limitations that we impose on it, but rather, a journey to the inner acknowledge that you have always been there, hidden beneath the layers of fears, doubts, and limitations. It is as if we are carrying a burden in the invisible, and a backpack full of stories that tell us who we should be, what we should do, what we think, feel, and even to be desired. This backpack is more than we can imagine, and a lot of times, prevents you from breathing freely, and to see beyond the horizon, which was laid out for us. But the truth is, when we begin to let go of these lines, we realize that all the things that we limited it was, for the most part, a construct of others in a narrative that is accepted without question, as if it were the only possible reality. And there you have it, the arousal happens very slowly, almost as if in a dim light, which will be lighting up inside of us, to reveal the truth hidden for years, that we are more than what you have told us that we were in. That's the core, that it beats us silent but powerful. It has never ceased to exist, even if for a time we may have convinced ourselves otherwise. It often contains a mixture of joy and fear, because when we are faced with this truth, it is also faced with the responsibility of rewriting our history, and to be able to choose who you really want to be, without any of the masks which have been laid down. And it is that choice, though poor, is about having the courage, because it means giving up the comfort that sometimes it's safer and more secure than their own freedom. Yet, it is precisely in this time of transition, it all starts to make sense, because we understand that freedom is not something that is external, you can conquer it with a key, or open the doors, but of something that is born inside of us, in a decision that the daily rate of us to reconnect with the essence to be silent, reminding us that we are complete beings, are able to create their own reality, and to transform, which can limit opportunities for growth. And, in the process, we can begin to understand that our emotions, our thoughts, and our actions are the most powerful tools we have to shape this free. Every conscious decision, each of the inner silence, each moment's reflection, it's a critical piece to this puzzle that reveals who we really are behind all of the layers for strength. And when you understand it, you feel a renewed strength, a new hope is born of the recognition that we were never really stuck, just put to sleep by the illusion of separation from the obstacle. And that awareness is the key to true transformation, one that doesn't come from the outside to the inside, but from the inside to the outside, and a genuine desire to reconnect with your true essence, that which is immutable and eternal, and, within each and every one of us. It's as if every single one had the seed of freedoms planted in your heart, just waiting for it to be a lot of courage, patience, and self-love to bloom. And, in doing so, we find that the greatest secret of life is in the simplicity of being who you really are, without the mask, without the mask, without the mask. And, because of this simplicity, that it seems so difficult to achieve, in fact it is the core of the purest, most of our deepest truth, that he was always right there, waiting for the right time to do so, to join in with all the intensity of a light that never goes out. I now want to go more in depth on this issue. Because this is a journey of self-discovery, and freedom is infinite, and the more we push, the more the findings reveal that the real power lies in our ability to reinvent ourselves each and every day, to choose our own narrative, one that is free from the chains unseen, which we attach to it, and accept that this freedom is, above all, is an act of courage to be true to our inner selves. And, in this way, we have learned that the greatest revolution that we can do is that what's going on inside of us, which leads us to abandon the illusion that we are separate from the world. In the name of Christ, you are a part of it, in a grid of invisible connections, emotions, and possibilities. It's like, to be free from our own prison built-in, open the door to a new life, a life that is more authentic, more real, where we can finally breathe in full, and to live in accordance with what really matters to you. The question is, how much longer will we allow fear, doubt, and the opinion of others to dictate who you should be? The more you're going to put off our own freedom of thinking that it's something far, far away, out of reach. Because, deep down, all of the things that you wish you peace, love, and fulfillment, that can only be found when we allow ourselves to be who we really are, without the mask, without the mask, without the mask. And when you realize this fact, we felt that it was called the internal wake-up call to take on the role of our own history, and, above all, is to be faithful to the core of the most pure, the one who knows what freedom is: a daily choice, a decision, and live with authenticity, courage, and an open heart. So, the question is, are you ready to take the next step? To really embrace this freedom, which is already there, within us, waiting to be seen and experienced? Because, at the end of the day, the major finding is that we are ourselves the creators of our own destiny, and the architects of our own happiness, the person responsible for turning a dream into a reality, starting with that very decision, to be free from the inside to the outside. And it is this decision-making, while challenging, is the one who leads us on a journey of awakening that just won't die, because every step you take, every insight, every conscious decision, we affirm that the true freedom of a trip to the eternal, and a deep connection to all that is most authentic and real in the inside. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. And, in the constant search to understand the true, we've noticed that a lot of times we are stuck in a kind of self-deception, the comfortable comfort that keeps us from seeing who we really are beyond the masks that we've created for ourselves. It is as if we are living in a prison are invisible, and where the bars are made from the limiting beliefs, the expectations of others, and a need for an almost haunting of approval. And it is precisely at this time of the wake-up call that we have begun to realize that the greatest freedom is to challenge those inner walls, to question everything that has been imposed on or acted upon without consideration. The path is not easy, because you need to have the courage to face the one that is buried deep in the back of the face, the shadow they often prefer to hide in, because it reveals our weaknesses, our fears, the deepest truths, and we accept that. Yet, it is precisely when you do this, that we have found a power they never knew they had, a quiet strength that is born of the recognition of our own limitations and a genuine desire to get out of them. Every decision that we make in the process of self-understanding, it is like a key that opens the door to a whole new dimension of ourselves. And, at the same time, we realize that the journey is also a kind of reunion for the things that truly matter, our essence, that which has not been shaped by circumstances or by the opinions of the outside, but it was always there, waiting to be seen, heard, and recognized. It is like a delicate dance between what we are and what we do. We make a trade-off of discovery that makes us realize that, very often, the biggest obstacle that is in your own mind, and the story we tell about who we are and how far you can get. And this is the narrative for the most part. It is an invention that we've created to protect us from the unknown, in order to avoid the discomfort of the far-reaching changes, to confront our own truths that often appear daunting. To dive a little bit deeper, we begin to understand that true transformation comes not from the changes in the surface, but a thorough dismantling of what has been built up over the years, a relation that allows us to reconstruct a more authentic to ourselves. This is a release that requires patience, compassion, and, above all, a genuine desire to know each other without the masks, without judgment. Because, at the end of the day, all of the things that we are looking out there, recognition, success, validation, in fact, it's always been inside of you. And the more you connect with that truth within us, the more we feel the freedom to be who we really are without fear, and without the limitations imposed upon it by the world, or ourselves. So, to understand this, we understand that your life is no longer a constant search for something on the outside to make a day of reflection and connection with the one point of light that never goes out, even on the darkest nights. It's as if, when you open the doorway, you could see beyond the illusion, beyond the stories that we tell in order to justify our own choices and our own limitations. And in that moment, everything takes on a new meaning, because we found that the real power lies in our ability to choose who we want to be, regardless of what the world was waiting for or appropriate. This freedom of choice is what makes us move. It's what we feed our souls with hope and the courage to move forward, even when the way seems difficult, and even if the questions are insisting on us. And, at the same time, we realize that this is a journey you will never have an ending, really, because self-knowledge is the road to infinity, with a standing invitation to explore the layers of deeper and deeper in our souls. Every time a new discovery is an opportunity to evolve, to grow, to let go of old patterns that no longer serve us. And, well, life will turn out to be a great dance of self-discovery, in which each step is an opportunity for us to get closer to our essence, the kind of light that never goes out, and that's always been there, waiting for you, that you had the courage to look within and see the truth. It is in this movement continued to expand, which we find true peace, one that doesn't depend on external circumstances, but that which is born of the realization that we are, above all, the creators of our own destiny, the architects of our own happiness, will be able to transform any situation with the power of our thinking and of our intention to do so. And, in the process of self-discovery, one thing has become increasingly clear, that the greater the release comes from the recognition that everything that limits us, it is, in fact, an illusion created by the mind which has not yet realized its true nature. When we can silence the voice that keeps us from looking further, we find that we are infinitely more than our experience, most of our aches and pains, most of the reviews that have been laid down. We are a source of never-ending possibilities in pure power, which, when aligned with the truth, it becomes a positive force for change that can change everything around you. And from there, we realize that the real courage is to accept who we really are, with all our imperfections, our doubts, and our dreams come true. Because the only way we can truly break free from the shackles and invisible that we hold on to a life that, more often than not, it's up to us, but as a projection of the desires and expectations of others. And this understanding leads to a new phase, where the stress is no longer a struggle against ourselves, and it turns out to be a celebration of who we can become. Because, in essence, the whole of the journey, it is an opportunity of reconnecting with our essence, the purest, the one that never ceased to exist, even in the darkness, the more in-depth. And when we do that, we can begin to understand that true transformation happens when we stop looking for answers outside, and we listen to the quiet voice of your heart. It always shows us the way back to the house, within our own selves. And in return, we have discovered that the freedom of searching for is not out there, but on the inside, hoping only that you have the courage to open the door and allow it to flourish. I now want to go more in depth on this topic. If you've come this far, it's because that's the message he spoke to you in some way. And because of this, I want to thank you for staying with me until the end of the video. Few people can resist on this day of reflection. And if you're here, it's because something inside of you will also be looking for such a connection. He comments that I'm with you till the end, because it shows me that we are together on this journey of self-discovery and transformation. If this content made sense to you, take advantage and subscribe to the channel so that we can continue to explore these themes, which still touch our hearts and help us to better understand who we are. And, if this message has touched you, leave your like for this discussion to reach more people who need to hear it. After all, each and every little thing like this to strengthen our connection, and it has made all the difference in your journey. And if you enjoyed that moment, you know there's a next step that is waiting for you. There's a video right here on the side that complements the conversation, bringing in even more detail to develop a deep self-reflection. Click there, and you still on me, because the journey doesn't end here. She's just starting to get a richer and more real. It is lightweight, and remember that the journey is yours, as well, made up of many small steps that, together, make up the way. If this content helped you see the light, you know that you're not alone. The people here, always learning, always evolving, and with each step we take leads us to a more authentic self. So, until the next video, and remember that the message has stayed with me until the very end, and I hope that you also have been to you.